Thanks for listening to the Thyroid Fixxr podcast with your host, me, Dr. Amie Hornaman, aka the Thyroid Fixxr, functional medicine practitioner, hormone and weight loss expert. We're talking all things thyroid, hormone, and health related in order to empower, educate, and transform you. So if you're ready to get your life back, let's get started. So this is going to be a game changer for you, and you can probably hear the excitement in my voice. The latest introduction, the latest member of the family to the Fixxr line is Metabolism Fixxr. And this, oh my God, I formulated this just for all my people out there that need to lose weight, that need help in the weight loss department, that can't lose weight no matter what they do, that feel like they have a slow metabolism, and that might be thinking of trying all those peptides out there, you know, the Beverly Hills soccer mom drug of choice for weight loss peptides. Or even if you're on them already and you're like, man, these are really expensive and I'm still not losing weight, add in Metabolism Fixxr. Here's what I did. I took the power of T2, which increases your basal metabolic rate while you are sitting there watching Netflix. You're burning fat while you're watching Netflix. I combined it with a very unique patented ingredient called Suppressa. Suppressa has multiple clinical trials backing its efficacy in reducing your appetite, decreasing snacking, and providing way more control over your food intake. It is amazing. We also see improved emotional well-being, just decreased food cravings all around, reduced hunger, and weight management. Add on top of that, we have green tea extract, we have purple forest purple tea extract, both of which affect the metabolism in a very positive way without the jitters of normal fat burning supplements out there from the 1980s and 90s, right? The ones that made you feel like you're having a heart attack. You will not have that in any of my supplements, Thyroid Fixxr or Metabolism Fixxr. But Metabolism Fixxr, ooh, yeah, we kicked it up a notch. It is in powder form, so you can drink it through your day. It's going to flavor your water. We got orange crush and refreshing citrus. I love them both. It is going to keep you under control all day long. So you throw a couple scoops in your water bottle in the morning, throw a scoop or two in your water bottle throughout the day. You will have fat burning and appetite control the entire day for what? An eighth of a price of the peptides? Oh my God, you can't go wrong. So grab some Metabolism Fixxr today. Please let me know how you do on it. I am super excited for you. Super excited. You know, when you're at a loss for words to describe an experience, couldn't think of the name for this podcast because it encompasses so much. My guest today is literally a sister from another mister. She's totally aligned in her tude, her beliefs, her experiences. And she's going to share with you how she is really the thyroid patient advocate. She's palpating thyroid glands in the airport, folks. She can spot you from a mile away if you have a thyroid problem. And she has been through the conventional medicine wringer, just like we all have. And you are going to absolutely love her. So please thoroughly enjoy this episode with Lisa Fischer. Lisa, I'm so pumped to talk to you because we just totally jived on your podcast and I love your energy and I love your story. So I had to bring you on here because I know my audience will absolutely love you and your information too. So welcome.
Thank you. We're thyroid sisters.
Yes, we are.
I mean, once you have that connection that you're in the Broken Thyroid Club, because you know, you can be in it forever. You kind of broke it down for me how some people do get off their medicine, but because mine has been I've had it for so long, my gland is RIP, dead.
Yeah.
But once you have a connection with somebody, which really you look around, driving down the highway, you look over, that lady probably has thyroid disease too. And your mother probably had it if she's chubby. And if your daughter's having trouble conceiving, she probably has it too. Like that's how ubiquitous it is. And that's what really surprises me, Amie, is that, I used to lunge at airports and palpate people's thyroids. And my doctor said he had never known an advocate like me. And it's because I said, I know what it feels like to be patted on the leg and told, take another B vitamin. You just gained 10 or 15 pounds. You know, I was 39 years old and they said, this is where you are in life. And I dug my heels in. Part of that is stubbornness. Part of it is knowing that I wasn't going to go into this part of my life, or even then I wasn't even 40, you know, and right into that part of my life, kicking and screaming or being tired all the time. I wasn't going to have it. So you have to, and you do too, you have to have the resolve and the chutzpah to get in there and say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not taking it anymore. I'm going to feel better. And you know what? I'm 60 years old and I feel much better than I did at 39, much better than I did at probably 35. And that's probably about the onset of my disease. As you know, it's insidious. You know, it can be a slow onset. And the gland, man, it's like the little choo-choo. I think I can. That gland is trying to push out some thyroid hormone. That TSH starts getting elevated. And that's when all hands need to get on deck. That's when you need to have a provider who you can communicate with that will say, you know what, your TSH was 1.5 last year. It's 2.5 this year. Something's wrong. I said it for 4 years. No one listened to me. And I hope all their houses burn down by Tuesday. No, I take that back. Because if something happens, then I might be
coming back on you. They're
right,
digging out
right.
the podcast.
I think that's called motive. You know, I watch a lot of murder shows. That's called motive. I would have motive. So I hope their houses don't burn down. But I hated it that no one listened to me. And that's why I started lunging at people in airports, palpating their thyroids. Because I ask people all the time, when I see that the gland is swollen, that's the first thing I do as a health coach. I meet with them via Zoom because thyroid is really it is the gas pedal to the body.
It is. And how do people respond exactly? Let's say you find someone in the airport, you lunge them and you palpate their neck. When you give them the information that they might have a thyroid problem, how do they take that?
Well, as you can imagine, I'm a little abrasive just by talking to me. You know, I'm not gentle.
That's why I love you, though. That's why I love you.
I was born in Jersey to Jewish parents. You know, there's just a certain genetic compound in people like us. Our people are in the desert all those years. We have something to fight about. So it's mixed, Amie. It really is. It's mixed results. Many people will have a tear come down an eye. It's usually a female. I've really never seen a swollen thyroid on a man. And she will say, I've been telling my doctor this for years and no one will listen. Or my husband wants to know what's wrong with me. Yeah. And oftentimes then I give them the quick elevator pitch. I get a complete thyroid panel. This is what providers are missing. And then I know it's because of an insurance model and they have 9 minutes with you in 12 seconds. Yeah. It's the old timey way to diagnose was palpating the gland. That's standing behind you. And we're on a Zoom call, but it's right above the collarbone, as you know, and it's taking your fingers and pinching. And the gland will be, sometimes you can see it swollen. So it's obvious to me because I have thyroid eyes to look, you know, I know what I'm looking for. And in the 50s, before the TSH test, which was 1973, so 50s and 60s, your doctor would palpate the gland. And the other magical thing they would do, they would take that little thingy and check your reflexes.
Yeah.
And if your reflexes were slow, you had thyroid disease. Mm-hmm. And so it didn't matter because it doesn't matter what your TSH is. Everybody tell your doctor to throw the number out. You don't care what a TSH is. Mm-mm. I don't care. I don't care. Really bore me more and tell me what my TSH is. Yeah. And that's all they were checking for me. So the people I talked to, I've only had one out of, I'm saying thousands of people. I've been doing this for 20 years and it's legal people. I do not give medical advice. Right. I just say, if I were you, I would go see a provider who's open-minded about thyroid disease. And that does not include endocrinologists. No. Period. But the one lady said, and let me tell you, I'm right. The one lady said the girl was 17. She was my daughter's friend. My daughter also has thyroid disease, of course, because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Mm-hmm. And I could see the gland was swollen. Though she was thin, they were probably looking for hypothyroidism when I think hers was working too fast. And she's 31 years old and still can't conceive. Always check the thyroid if you can't conceive. Yep. And the other girl told me, we were standing in line someplace and I looked over and I just said, and I really am more gentle than I come across, but I said, hey, because you can weasel your way into this easily and say, hey, you know, if you're sitting there talking to her, we were waiting on a speaker, you know, I'm like, do. And I saw the gland and she was puffy faced. Her nails look split. I mean, you can see it. The eyebrows, the outer third of the eyebrows are gone.
Right.
And I said, gosh, the craziest thing happened to me. I said, I had this thyroid disease. And she said, well, I've been thinking I did. But so I said, I would check. And so her provider probably just ran a TSH. I'm not kidding. She was 45. She had a heart attack right after that. Low thyroid is a concern, and it's a reason for cardiovascular disease in women. So cardiovascular disease in women is not because of your stupid cholesterol panel.
Right.
It's because you're not treating their thyroids the way you should. And that is actually criminal and abusive. The end.
Bam. Mic drop right there. My listeners have to be able to pick up on the fact that you are like a sister from another mister or something, because
they are very similar.
They're too much alike right now. They're just too.
Right. And you get it. And that's it. Amy, it's truly, if you can't advocate for yourself, no one else cares.
No.
Now, husbands will care because, I mean, truthfully, the sex isn't being put out like it used to be.
Yep.
Because sexual desire goes down. Fatigue is such a battle, and a woman doesn't feel good when she gains weight. So if you may have a husband who's an advocate, or a spouse or a partner who might say, let's look into this. Because my husband, I would come back and say, I'd say, well, he'd go, what'd you find out? They said I'm depressed. He goes, you're not depressed. But he said, you're the most tired adult I've ever met. His mother had stage 4 breast cancer and had more energy than I did. Oh. I was 39 years old. She was 69. I was 39 years old and took 2 and 3 naps a day. And I was on Adderall. I was on Adderall because I was needing something to boost my energy.
Yep.
And that only lasted however many hours because it was short acting. And so they did give me Wellbutrin, which has a stimulant in it. So it gave me a little energy. But y'all, I was still constipated, cold. My hair fell out. So it was a Band-Aid. And it wasn't until I had somebody who palpated my thyroid gland before he looked at my numbers and said, I believe you have thyroid disease. And I said, I almost said to him, no shit. And he said, why are you looking at me that way? I said, because I've been saying this for 4 years. He goes, let me guess. They said chronic fatigue syndrome or depression. They said depression.
Right.
And it was my decision. I was able to wean off the Wellbutrin because I didn't have a depression. There is a depression element with thyroid disease. I don't want women to put to the side. Definitely address whatever you and your provider agree on, but depression was not my issue. It was my thyroid. And that's what we say in kind of the functional medicine space is you're not lacking synthetic anything.
Right.
And so the hormone that I'm on is bioidentical for a thyroid hormone, and it's what works for me. And as we know, bioindividuality, everybody's different. You're juiced up on liothyronine, works great for you. In fact, you helped me with my daughter so I have a little podcast, the Lisa Fischer Said podcast, and that episode drops, I think, next week. And you helped me with my daughter. And so because I went to her, you're such a good problem solver in that you can be totally objective. You do not have big pharma over here incentivizing you. And I take your thyroid Fixxr. I'm going to get my labs drawn next week to see what it did to my antibodies. That's what I'm hoping. But you helped me with my daughter so much that she came back yesterday. And I told you she was, just to remind everybody, I'm violating her PHI. I'm sure I'm not because I'm not telling you her name. But she's thin because weight does have something to do with the way they titrate your medicine. I will say that. And that's kind of just a plumb line for them. But she's 5'7" and 130 pounds, so she's thin. But they put her on a high dose, and you said to keep going with it. You were the one saying, let's try this, try that. And that's what you have to do. You have to have an advocate like you, Amie, that people, in fact, I just sent one of my clients to you because she's like, oh, but my numbers aren't right and I don't feel right. And I said, you know what? Don't go back to a doctor. Because she said, I just going to try to find another doctor. I said, stop. I said, here's Dr. Amie. Right. She's the thyroid whisperer. I said, she's going to be able to get in there. I said, you need someone objective who can look at everything and go, well, here's the obvious hole.
Yeah.
Is this. And like you take a lot of T3, we hope we take T4 and it converts to T3. It's not.
Right.
But
not everybody.
But we're all different. Right. We're all different. And that's what I love about you is that you're not incentivized by any group and you really care about people enough to say, I think I figured it out. And that's all people need. You need someone that can partner with you that will say, I think I figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, wait, we have so much to unpack. First of all, I want to rewind to one of the things that you said and circle back to it, that even with the husbands coming in and your desire for sex goes down. I talk about this a lot. You can give me your opinion, and then we'll actually get into your story too. But on that note that you just mentioned, I think a lot of it is true how we feel about ourselves and even our brain function. So yeah, we say like low libido, and the husband's over there going like, you don't even want me anymore. Like we never do it. And in the women's mind, because let's face it, women have more thyroid problems than men. Like you said, you've never palpated a thyroid in the airport of a man because you just don't see it. The guys get it, but not as much as us. I think for women, we get that depression of the brain, not that you need like, Prozac or Wellbutrin, but you get that low T3 in the brain because there's receptor sites for T3 in the brain. So we have that low brain function. We have that low motivation, that low mood, depression. Then we're putting on weight most of the time. Like you said, weight isn't a component 100% of the time with thyroid, but it is, I would say, in about 95% of the cases.
And especially women over 35.
Yeah, because it's tanking your hormones too. So the thyroid goes wacky. There goes your hormones at an early state, not even in menopause, but you start losing testosterone, losing progesterone.
That's right.
And I think why would I want to get naked if I'm carrying around an extra 25 pounds? It's not going to happen. I'm not going to you can pump me full of testosterone at that point. I don't want to take my clothes off.
They call that to the hormone apron, that when a woman looks down and, if you're not tucking your shirts in, something's wrong. Your body was made for your shirts to be tucked in, not shaming you, not weight shaming anybody.
Right.
If we can start having the mindset, Amie, of root cause, there's a cause. If you look down and there's an abdomen, it's better, in fact, to pinch it than to have the visceral fat. But it is a warning from the epicenter of your hormones is your hypothalamus, we know, and the brain. So it means that there's a brain disorder, and you owe it to yourself to feel your best, to enjoy your life in your twilight years, whatever, your retirement or your 30s. Again, I was 39. I was 35 when I started having some kind of wonky symptoms. But this isn't for somebody who'll say, well, I'm a feminist and I want to do what I want to do. We were designed to have intercourse and orgasm and to enjoy our sex lives. And if you're not, you owe it to yourself and your partner to find out why.
Yep.
And thyroid is a huge component, but I'm just telling you, because I'm 100 years old, I'm 60, but because I'm 60, for me, it's taken a whole family of bioidentical hormones to get me upright and feeling good. But you know what? I feel better. And I'm slim. I have all the parts that I like. I will say, women, keep your parts.
Yeah.
Keep your parts. Don't get talked into it. Because you'll call us later and go, they talked me into it.
That sucked. They said it wouldn't affect my hormones. Right.
Yeah. We are designed in such a way that really the shoulder bone's connected to the thumb bone, the zone bone, them bones and bones. It should be them hormones.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. So if you understand, and you do, that hormones are chemical messengers. And so sex hormones, we know about those. We know about testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. But your thyroid's a hormone. Vitamin D is a hormone. Cortisol is a hormone. So we want to keep them tempered in such a way so that they fire and not misfire. Cortisol misfires as a woman ages, and then that affects her estrogen, and then she looks down and she has the apron. So I'm saying you deserve it. I want the people listening, watching, however you're communicating with this podcast, to be the best whoever they are at this stage in their life and forever. I don't want my kids to think that I'm stuck in a chair and my knees hurt in order to get up to see my grandchildren. I'm going to get my grandchildren. I've got a short little TV shoot in an hour, and then I'm going to get them, taking them to the park. And sometimes they mistake me for the mother because I'm fit. They see my face and go,
look good.
She might be 60. Look at her face. But I'm saying
I'm 60.
Well, thank you. But my point is, I'm fit and I'm active. And I don't want my kids and grandkids to look back and think I'm in a rocking chair knitting booties.
Right.
I mean, I've broken up with so many providers in order to get the one who communicates well with me. And do not feel bad. You deserve the best.
So you've kind of told your story throughout in bits and pieces, but let's bring this all together. So symptoms, misdiagnoses, very similar to mine.
Yeah.
You spent 4 years bouncing around until
Yeah.
you finally got the diagnosis. So then what did it look like after that? Did you go right into, being on the right treatment? Were there ups and downs? How did that look for you?
Well, I'm a journalist. And so a good journalist is investigative in his or her nature and is a good speller. I'm a really good speller. So all you have to do is tell me I have an assignment to study something. Like if I have to write an article, I still write for newspapers and magazines. And you want to tell me this is on healthy bones, because I'm studying about it now. I'm a student of things. Girl, so I got diagnosed in November of 2003. It'd been 4 years. I have vitiligo. And so that's finally what probably put it all together. And he did palpate my thyroid. So all I did, that's all we had then. We had internet access, but we didn't have the proliferation of material that we have now,
Right.
and knowledge. So I did something old fashioned called, I went to the library.
Oh, wow.
They still have
Microfiche?
those.
Did you break
Yeah.
out the microfiche?
Yeah, I did. I got the card catalog out and I checked out 8 or 9 books that my husband said at night I would read a book, and he called it my thyroid murder mystery. I would turn the page and go like it, Amie, every day opened my eyes. And then, so my doctor at that point, I weigh about 150. I may have been 160 then or 150. I don't remember. It was something like that. Cause I remember he gave me 75 micrograms of Synthroid. We know micrograms are small units and Synthroid is measured that way, which is a joke. It's like taking a Tic Tac.
Yeah.
So he said, you can come back in 4 to 6 weeks and we'll look at we'll maybe bump up your medicine. Well, I read the Healthy Thyroid book. I read the So-and-so Thyroid book. I read Dr. Rita Aram's book. I can't remember who he was. He was a guy in Houston and he was at the So-and-so clinic. I mean, I read them all. Mm-hmm. So when I went back in 4 weeks. I asked for lab work before I went in. And I had my books. I mean, I was ready because that's one thing about me. Once I learn it, it's here. And he sat down. He goes, well, everything looks great on 75 micrograms of Synthroid. He goes, everything looks great. Your TSH is 1.
Oh,
and I said, he said, we think that's a good number. I go, is there someone in your pocket? Like, who's we? He said, well, the American Society of Endocrinologists or whatever it is, because that's the first person to diagnose me. So I do give him props. And I said, well, the we at my house don't think I'm doing great, because I said, I've gained weight and I take naps every day and I could do that for free. I don't need your stupid medicine.
Right.
And I said, could you give me liothyronine? Can you give me Cytomel? He went, oh no, I was 39. I can't do that. Why not? And he goes, well, we're afraid of a heart condition in older women. I go, I haven't even broken 40 yet, dude.
Right.
I said those words. And I said, and with my vitiligo, well, why didn't, can't you give me more? I'm trying to, I don't know, sway him in some way. He said, no, in 6 months when you come back. And I went, oh, no, we're broken up. Like I'm obviously honest. I said, no. I said, you're not going to give me any more medicine. No. And you won't give me I didn't even know about Armor then. I was just trying Cytomel. Amie, and he said, no. That's all you need to tell me. No. Hey, it was nice meeting you. Hope things work out for you.
Yeah.
Then I went down. We used to have phone books, kids, in the 2000s. So I got something called a phone book.
Yep.
And I started looking up. I called every doctor that I could find in Central Arkansas. We do have a teaching hospital here. Don't recommend because they follow, a certain model that's not my model for my body. I started calling and I found an an endocrinologist who in 2003 was 65 years old. He still gives me advice today. He's 85 years old.
Aww.
He wanted me to go to medical school. He said he'd never had anyone grasp the thyroid like I did. I said, well, I'm dumb as a fence post. I can't figure out hearts or butts or guts or anything. I said, I got the butterfly shaped gland down to a science. And I called his nurse and said, would you ask that nice doctor in there if he would give me Cytomel? Like, she literally put me on hold. She goes, hold on, hon. She ran in there and came back. She said, no one's asked for Cytomel in years because it had been around and Armor had been around.
Yeah.
And he said, you tell her to come in. And my best friend and I went, and we called ourselves the Lucy and Ethel of thyroids. And we called ourselves the Thyroid Support Hussies, TSH, the Thyroid Support Hussies. And he said, good, I love cheap women. I still love him to this day. I could reach out to him right now. And he said, I'll try whatever you guys want. I said, we'll be your guinea pigs. So I did a trial of Cytomel. I do metabolize the way I metabolize. I did get over a place. So I could, and we even thought about compounding it. And then we did Armor, and then we did NP. I mean, he said, okay, so he was 65 then. He had been practicing a long time. Remember, 1973 is when the TSH test was created, and Synthroid magically sponsored all these medical school symposiums. Right. Yep. So your doctor only knows about Synthroid. So your doctor really isn't ignorant, but he's ignorant. He doesn't know the facts. If you don't know the facts, you're ignorant. Mm-hmm. It's not that they're ignoring the facts. They just don't know them. And he said, and his parents were physicians, his mom and dad. His mom graduated from medical school in the 30s as one like the first female medical students at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences here in Little Rock. And he said, my parents gave thyroid medicine for years. And he goes, you know how they diagnosed you? They'd come around, palpate your thyroid. They would do the test to look at your reflexes. Yep. And he said, they'd send you home with medicine. And in 6 weeks, you didn't feel better. Well, it wasn't your thyroid. I go, why can't we do that now? He said, it's just not done. So he did that. And so that's how I found my magical dose for my body weight. Again, I'm 150, 5'8", 150. And I'm on 2 grains, 120 milligrams of Armor, 60 BID. Yep. And then I still do 75 micrograms of levothyroxine because as you age, you do get frozen shoulder. And that often is correlated with low T4, and bursitis can be. It's also perimenopausal, postmenopausal. So, I mean, I really had to fight for myself. Yeah. But because of that, I really feel like I made a way for other people to do the same thing. A lot of times, Amie, I hear this from women. Well, my doctor won't give it to me. Well, fire him. Well, I go to church with him. I go, I mean, what are they going to do? Null your church membership? They can take your robe away and you can't be in choir? I mean, just fire him. Yeah. So this is what I say. So you don't care about yourself or your marriage enough. Well, yeah, I do. No, you don't. Or you would do something about it. Oh, I just don't. I'm not a whiner. I had a really, really tough childhood growing up in Jersey, went to New Orleans. My mother overdosed when I was 12. I was sexually abused. I saw some rough things. So I'm tough as a nut. Yeah. And because of that, I'll fight for myself. And I don't care if you don't like me. I mean, who wouldn't like somebody because you would switch doctors? Well, then that's not a real friendship.
No, not at all. No, I just got off the phone with someone and she was all scared of offending her functional medicine doctor. And it's
whatever.
And she paid her and she's already paid her. And I'm like, okay, but she's not helping you. So you're going to lose money, be miserable. And like you said, it's going to affect you as a wife and a mother because you're afraid of offending someone. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And those early days of thyroid disease, one of the symptoms that really, so I was going to the doctor for 4 years. And probably mine came on after the birth of my third child when I was 35, which
Very
often
common.
happens. Yep. And so they just pat me on the legs. So I needed a B vitamin and to move on. But one of my real symptoms, Amie, was the brain fog that I thought I had some type of dementia. I mean, because your inability to remember so my job as a journalist, I've been on the air here in Little Rock since the earth cooled, since the 80s. And then I was homeschooling my kids. So I was home more, but I would get asked to fill in like on radio stations or in TV and do things. I said no for about 3 years because I did not have, my job depends on clarity of thought, as does yours. My job, being witty helps and, remembering things. I couldn't remember places' names. I couldn't think of the word, like I'm holding a pen. I would look at it and go, the baseball, Dr. Pepper. And like I wasn't even close. Do you remember that of your brain like circling, looking for the word, and you'd go, book, mirror. Like I couldn't think of basic words, couldn't remember people's names, and people attribute that to aging. No.
Yeah.
Stop it. Yeah. Stop dumbing down our Homo sapiens. My goodness, our people survived on a planet for thousands of years. doing things and staying sharp and also not eating for a few days. So I'm a big proponent of intermittent fasting, but that also keeps your mind sharp. So keeping your mind sharp also is on you, and your family deserves better.
I hear that all the time. I'm sure you hear that from your clients, that I think I have early Alzheimer's or early dementia.
I definitely
it's your
thought that.
thyroid.
It's your thyroid.
Right. Absolutely. So you're on the bioidentical hormones too, and those help tremendously. I mean, those just kind of stack upon the thyroid treatment.
Yes. So I keep some at my desk. This can go on your girl parts. It can go here. I mean, I'd lick it if I needed to.
Now, what is that progesterone?
That's testosterone.
That's testosterone. Okay.
So I've done the gene profiling and all. I do have a slow metabolism in the way I metabolize things. In fact, I have a propensity to be overweight.
Yeah.
But again,
so do I. Yeah.
But I'm not. So because of that, I can't metabolize the pellet well. I get fur on my face.
Yeah.
And acne. So I do this, and I do DIM. I think I don't know if the DIM helps with that. Oh, I do spironolactone because this face is still on TV. So I don't want to zit.
I want a beard. Yeah.
And I don't want a beard. I don't want a beard.
You push your testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, which is going to cause the androgenic effect. Now, have you ever tried the injectable? Have you ever tried injectable testosterone?
No. What do you think about that? I'll try. I'm such a good guinea pig. I'll do anything.
Oh yeah. Okay. We might have to try that on you. Well, here's the thing. If the cream's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's my motto. So anybody coming in that I'm working with, I'm like, is it working? Is it making a difference? Yeah. Okay. Then we're going to leave it alone. But if it's not working, so what I see with the cream, and we might have to refer back to your labs too and how you feel. But what I see with the cream, some women do beautifully. Like we'll see their total testosterone go to 100, 125 on the cream. Others, I will see it move from a 30 to a 33 in 3 months. It's like, okay, something's going on here. Either you're not rubbing it in right, or it's not compounded right, or the cream just isn't for you. So then we do the injections, and that seems to keep a more steady state. Unlike the pellets, it's not like you're getting this big bolus of testosterone where you're like, your face freaks out. There's nothing you can do. It's now stuck in your ass. You got to wait 3 months. Yeah. You can control it with the injectable. So maybe you do, one shot 1 week, and you're like, I got a couple pimples. Okay, back it off. Then do half that dose and do it every 10 days.
I think my testosterone last time was about 90, 95. I'm postmenopausal, so I feel good. Yeah, and then progesterone, as your doctor or any provider doesn't like to hear a woman having any vaginal bleeding postmenopausal. And a lot of times, again, keep your parts. It's often a fibroid that might burst. Yep. And probably that's what happened. So I did bump up to maybe 400 milligrams of progesterone during a time to shed that lining. Yep. And now I'm back down to about 250. I do take 5 days off a month to kind of mimic a cycle. And as we know, progesterone is nature's sedative, and she's a beauty. She's a beauty. That's what I really tell my clients now, these young girls in their 30s. I say, if there's anything I would do, because again, I don't give medical advice, but I say, if it were me, if I were to start over, I would have started progesterone much, much earlier. I think I would have delayed some other kicks in the butt, that estrogen dominance. And that just really the term estrogen dominance is, it's just the ratio is not right. Yep. And so math is involved. You don't want me doing that. But so then I do an estradiol pellet and I feel great.
That's awesome. Beautiful. Yep. I love the balance. I love it. I love that you're saying things that I always say on here, and I'm like, oh, cool. She's saying it again. Like, I like it when people back me up. Like, I got a guest on saying I didn't even pay her to do that. Right. She's just saying that because she knows it.
Well, because really, this is what my friend, who we said we're the Lucy and Ethel at Thyroid Support Hussies, we wanted to get a bullhorn and stand at the back of Walmart or in the parking lot and say, attention, all women, are you puffy, constipated, cold? Does your hair fall out? You have thyroid disease. This is not normal parts of aging. Like, we felt so passionate about it because we were there, and we were both in separate situations told by providers, oh, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. We're, the 10 or 15 pounds. See, it's not about vanity at that point. It means something's wrong. I mean, weight gain means something is off. You may be fine with it. But again, I was still on camera, and I just didn't want. I didn't want the apron. That's what I ask my clients now. Can you look down and see an apron? If they say yes, then I go, well, let's do something about that. I don't care what the number is on the scale. The number on the scale is kind of stupid, in fact.
It is.
The numbers you need to look at are fasting insulin, high sensitivity C-reactive protein, if you want to look at inflammation, because inflammation is a huge component in this. Do you remember in the early days how puffy your face was in the morning when your thyroid was low?
I had full moon face. Like I have pictures somewhere, but I can't find them. I wish I kind of could. I probably threw them out. I
don't want to look at mine. Right.
Yeah.
And puffy hands, puffy under my eyes. Food sensitivities were very high. I will say I've had to pare it down to certain foods that I eat, an animal-based diet. And I really can't veer from it, Amie, because I don't know if my liver, our livers are toxic sludges of dump.
Yep.
Because of perfumes and phthalates and everybody, everybody that has that. So I do try to give my little liver a break, and I do wonder sometimes what's going on. I do the Queen of Thrones. I am a sexy beast at night. I have a mouth guard I wear, and I wear the Queen of Thrones liver pack.
Queen of Thrones. What is that?
That's the brand of the castor oil that you put. Go to Googling. It'll change your life.
Okay. Now, what does this do?
It's the thing. Isabella Wentz, the America's thyroid pharmacist, says that every thyroid patient needs to do it every night, and you wear it on a pack on your abdomen. You can do heat for about an hour, or you can sleep in it. Queen of Thrones is the product line you want to use. But I'm telling you, he's not going to be meowing at you in bed. He's going to look over and go, really? You're going to go, I'm doing this to help my thyroid.
I got earplugs and mouth tape. Like I'm right there with what's one more thing to make me that much more sexy?
Yeah. So that's it. Sexy beast. That's what I told my husband. I go, sexy beast. He'll go,
Yeah. So you have the sex before you go to bed, because when you're in bed, it's no go. It's a no-go zone. It's the no-go zone.
That's exactly it.
Okay. So I want to pick your brain about this before we move into intermittent fasting. Because you are a journalist and a health coach, and you're such a huge patient advocate, what are your thoughts on the people that just give in? It's like I tend to look at, like when you said Walmart, you go to Walmart and you see these women, and I feel like they've just given up. Like they have bought the narrative that we're getting older. This is what's going to happen. I'm just going to get fat and lose my hair, and that's just it. It's like, what is going on with women's thought processes right now that they're succumbing to that?
I don't think they've given in. I think they've been lied to, and they believe it.
Okay. Yeah.
The man they meet with once a year who has a lab coat on and his name says MD at the end, he has her best interest, doesn't he? Oh, wait, he wins a trip to Cabo if he writes a bunch of Synthroid. I think that's a conflict of interest. Oh, he's incentivized if he writes that statin. That's a conflict. As a journalist, that's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So this is the hope I want to give people. It doesn't have to be this way. We're not just lucky. It's not, people look at me and go, well, it's just genetics. I go, oh no, I have a family of type 2 diabetes.
Me too. Yep.
Again, my gene profile says on there, propensity for obesity. I'm having my hormones communicate in a way they don't know anything about it. And if you talk to them about hormones, they don't realize thyroid is a hormone. That, again, cortisol is a hormone. Cholecystokinin is a hormone. That's the hormone that, and leptin are the ones that tell you push the Fruit Loops away. In fact, don't eat Fruit Loops.
Right.
But their doctor told them that meat is evil and milk is evil. And then they follow the New York mayor who's trying to do meatless Mondays for children. So you want children to have low IQs? Because what builds your IQ? Protein and fat. What Joe Biden, he needs to eat a steak.
He does.
Because dementia, we know he has some cognitive decline. Doesn't matter what political party you're in, right? Yeah. It doesn't, I'm not saying.
If you have eyes and ears,
If you have eyes and ears, right. He needs to eat a steak because your brain needs fat. And we're learning that. Dr. Dale Bresden and all, on and on and on. These people that are thought leaders. Yeah. Mark Hyman, I hope, can talk some sense into Capitol Hill. He's trying to change the food pyramid. People, if the government tells you to do something, do the opposite.
Oh my God, I hear that all the time.
Amie. Yeah. You
do. Do the opposite.
Do the opposite. And again, I attract women in my age group, 55 to 65. There's often a lump in their throat and a tear when we meet, when I tell them things, because they're like, you mean you want me to quit my, you mean I should quit my statin? I go, I don't make your decisions on your healthcare. You do. They go, you mean I can't? And then they say, you mean I can't quit my statin? I go, it's your body, your choice. Don't you remember? Isn't that what we learned this during the pandemic?
Right.
I mean, I said it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
they
You
didn't say
can,
it.
you can choose what goes into your body. How about that?
Mhm. That includes the arms here, those long needles,
Those things.
all
Yeah.
the things.
All the
right?
things.
So all the things.
All the things. Just
In
saying.
fact, it's hard for me to stay off social media because the stupid people, the
Yeah.
people who are ignorant, who don't know the facts, will say things like hormone replacement will cause cancer. And I'm like,
Right.
dude, where have you been? I mean, where have you? Oh, you're watching NBC. That's where you've been.
Right.
Because if you've opened your device and you do a Google search on the Women's Health Initiative in 2002, it was debunked in 2006.
Yeah.
And so it makes me crazy when they're on, you know, some type of social media, you know, a group, you know, Little Rock has its own Little Rock Power Women, and they'll say, oh, you know, you can't take that because you'll get cancer. And I can't, my thyroid's fine. My doctor said, and I go,
Well,
I'm so
Lisa,
cynical.
you know what? That's okay because they're going to be dried up and old and demented and have heart disease anyway. So they won't have a real strong club in another year or two.
No, that's
You
exactly
let them
right.
think that.
That's right. So after my mother overdosed when I was 12 in New Orleans. I was raised in Newark, went to New Orleans. I came to Arkansas. My cousins raised me, and he was an attorney, and he and his wife was my first cousin. That's who raised me. They always said that the people who came in for divorces in their 40s, the first question my dad always asked was, have you had a hysterectomy? Every time, Amie. The woman would go, yeah, but I don't like him anymore, and he's not the man for me. And they're the ones. So that was in the 80s. They started telling me things like, keep your parts. They were way ahead of their times.
Mhm.
And they also told me I did not immunize my children because of them. And I homeschooled my children because of them, because they were way ahead of it on advocating for yourself, the decisions you make for your family. Right.
Yep.
So that's why keep your parts.
Yep.
Someone told me my great aunt had uterine cancer. I go, what does that have to do with you? I mean,
Yeah.
That's up here and it turns right. It's not even you. And
Right.
it's epigenetics. We now know it's what you're doing to turn the genes on or off. Quit eating packaged foods, get some sunlight, go have sex, have an orgasm. And you know what? You'll like your husband better tomorrow.
Yeah.
The
And use
more
some
sex you
hormones.
have, the more sex you want.
You do. And whenever I do a libido episode, I always end with sometimes you just have to participate. Now, I mean, you need a non-dry vagina to do so. So that's where the estrogen's going to come in.
That's
but sometimes you just have to participate. And then the more you do it, the more you want it. Absolutely. Right. And just real quick, I have to say this. The Women's Health Initiative, like you said, it was debunked in 2006. If your doctor is still telling you that hormones cause cancer, it means he hasn't opened a book since 2006. Hello.
Exactly.
Maybe that's a red flag to fire your doctor.
Right. No, I hear that still all the time.
In
fact, one doctor here who his wife she had breast cancer, and he's a BioT provider. So he does bioidentical hormone replacement, and she has the pellet. He has they measure and do. And he's the one who asked the question. I'm sure you've asked it, but I didn't think of it this way until he asked it. He goes, Lisa, when do you think your sex hormones were the highest? And there were two women. I was with the pharmacist. And I said puberty, and she said pregnancy. He goes, do you know anyone in puberty that has breast cancer?
Bingo.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyone? Now, 1 in a million may get pregnant and have breast cancer. I'm not making a blanket statement, but he said, so the women with the lowest estrogen have the highest breast cancer? There's your correlation.
Yeah. Simple. Didn't even need a big expensive study to do that. You can go into any high school and be like, how many of y'all have breast cancer? Right. None? All right, cool. You know?
And their estrogen, everything works. All their hormones are communicating beautifully.
Now go to an AARP meeting and be like, how many of y'all have breast cancer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I'm seeing too, because I'm really now into the metabolic method of cancer treatment, that's mitochondrial.
Yeah.
That means you don't have to have chemo and radiation. You can do ketogenic diet and fasting. That scientific Dr. Tom Seyfried, I've had him on my podcast. He's brilliant. And he's also in the philosophy. Dr. Jen Simmons says this. I think you were just on her podcast.
Yep.
I love her because I love redheads. She said, and I think this is brilliant, it's the urgency that they give these women when they sit down. They have stage 1 breast cancer. We all have stage 1 breast cancer, probably.
Right.
And she said, what I resent is the urgency of, we've got to do something right now. People need to step back. They need to tweak their diet. And that means you've got to get carbs, packaged foods out of your diet today and stop feeding yourself stop with the insulin resistance. And then look at it of, you know what? There's a chance you could reverse this, because you know what causes cancer? The treatment for cancer.
Yeah.
Radiation causes cancer.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get x-rays at the dentist, because you know what I say? No, thank you. Right. They go, Lisa, you have to do this. And I go, says who? I don't have fluoride. I haven't had fluoride in 20 years as a thyroid patient.
No, not at all.
And so every time, for 20, my kids were children. When they were little, going to the dentist, I would refuse the fluoride treatment. I was the first person they had ever seen do that. That was after I got diagnosed in 2003, because I started advocating for it myself. And you know what? I was the one able to diagnose my own children, because my daughter, who has red hair, that's why I love redheads, she would take her hair and spell her name, Sydney, on the bathtub wall. And she was 13 and she wore a parka in September. Those are thyroid symptoms.
Yes, they are.
But she was 13. Her pediatrician said we were fine. My sweet guy, who I love, that took care of me, he's the one who said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Right.
It's just thyroid disease.
Right.
And because of that, life is wonderful, because we're all pretty much thyroid in the way we're replacing the way we feel.
Yeah, you're all optimized. Exactly.
Yeah, optimized. Yes. Great term.
Now, you're mentioning the food. So perfect transition to the last topic. I can't stop talking to you. That's the problem. We could keep going and going and going. But I want to touch on intermittent fasting. Now, I'll give you my take real quick, and then I want to hear your take. The problem that I see with women and intermittent fasting is the protein problem. They're not getting in enough protein already. And then they decide to incorporate in an 18-6 fast or an OMAD. And then they're getting in 30 or 40 grams of protein a day. And they're thinking that that's going to help them lose weight. I think they're over fasting, but I want to hear your take and what you do with your clients.
Well, this is very hard. And I just talked to a physician earlier today and interviewed him. And he's what he does is weight loss. And he says it's very challenging, because as we age, we have sarcopenia, as you know, muscle mass, start losing muscle mass at maybe about 1% a year. So 7%, 7 to 10% every decade. So the woman who breaks her hip, he used to be an ER doctor. He said the woman who broke her hip and came to the ER with a broken hip was because her legs were so weak, they couldn't hold her up because she didn't have enough protein. So I do prioritize protein, and I do have everybody get to the point where if they, sip on bone broth in their eating window, that's another 10 grams. So we do things throughout the day that kind of adds up. We also want to reach the best way to reach satiety, because your satiety hormones work. If we talk about leptin, cholecystokinin, they only work if you have fat and protein anyway. They don't work with carbs. That's why you can eat a whole bag of Lay's potato chips, but you would never eat 2 fully loaded baked potatoes, because baked potatoes have fat and protein in them. They have bacon, they have sour cream, they have cheese, and those are all things. So if you can prioritize protein, and I do have to keep an eye on it, and that means best for you, eliminate the carbs and everything. Now, but people say, but Lisa, I want something sweet. I go, at the end of your meal, after your insulin is regulated, your glucose, everybody's woken up, have local fruits in season with some heavy whipping cream if you're not bothered by dairy, and that gets you a little more protein. Or have sour cream. Or again, the bone broth trick is 10 grams of protein.
That's
boiled
good.
eggs are only 6 grams, I think, of protein. It's not as much as you think. But you know what? Another trick I just did last week, because I eat between about noon and 5 or 1 and 6 or whatever. It changes. But I had eggs when I opened my window. So I did 3 eggs. That's 18 grams. And then I had a half a cup of cottage cheese. That got me to 30 easily. So then that was it. And then cheese on top. That was a very satiating meal. And then I don't believe in snacking, but for women to get their protein intake and not let the brain think they're full for the day, 10 grams of protein as a snack, and maybe at 3 or 3:30 with good salt in it. And then close your window. I have, we call our eating window, hamburger patty, because again, I'm animal based. If cheese doesn't bother you. And then I can get mine up to maybe 75 or 80. Once in a while, if I find a protein shake, they often bloat me. So
I gotta send you mine. I'm gonna send you mine. It's bone collagen
really?
base. It does not bloat you at
Perfect.
all.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that is, I mean, that's a hack then, because I'm saying I'm someone who works hard at it every day. I mean, it's not my life in that I'm trying to be skinny or wear a bikini,
Right.
even though I could. It's for optimization. It's to feel my best. Again, I still make my living in front of a camera. I want to look my best. I want to feel my best. You know, I want my husband to look over the sexy beast that I am at night. And I want my husband, you know, I do this for my husband too, as he does for me. He looks like he's a bronze Adonis. I mean, he looks like a former NFL player. He does 1,000 push-ups a day. He's amazing. So, you know what I'm saying? It's mutual respect. We've been married 35 years.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. No, that's a great way to do it. Actually, I really like how you lay that out.
It's challenging. I'm telling you, it's challenging, and I keep an eye on it. But if you cut out the carbs, your body has to have something. Now, if you're still battling weight, we kind of say in the fasting world, ditch the nuts and cheese for a while.
Yes. That can bite you in the ass because you're going to overdo it. You're going to overdo
You're going to overdo it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even the peanut butter, because that's really kind of, because it has seed oils. So
I'll overdo that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you do, I'm saying, I'm not telling you I get to 100 every day. 100's my goal, but I do get full. Yeah. And so, and because of that, I have an on-off switch now. I can't overeat. I couldn't gain weight probably if I tried, because my brain my hormones communicate so well that I would probably vomit. And I don't say that self-righteously. I say that I'm hormonally, Dr. Fung says we're hormonally wired to eat and to stop eating. Well, my stop eating switch works, and it's hard to circumvent it with more protein, but I'm saying I try to, it's my goal every day. Sunlight helps a lot to just keeping bones healthy. So that's another thing I do.
Love it.
Sunlight every day.
Lisa, I love you. I mean, this is just insane. I love how alike we are.
Right.
We're the same person. We were the same person that just had like coffee talk about thyroid. So I love it.
Because you're just a sassy blonde. I'm just a sassy brunette.
Oh, a little bit of vanilla chocolate there. I like it. Yeah. Very cool.
I love it. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it.
Ditto. I mean, right back at you. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep telling people. I love it when people scroll and stop and go, what did she say? Because they're like, but my doctor told me.
Yep.
And it gets even more challenging because your population, I mean, you might see some over 60, but those over 60 really are in a rut with providers who have, I mean, seriously old information, y'all. Old.
Yeah. Very, very. And we have to break the 60-year-olds out of their insurance mentality. That's another podcast. But yeah, you gotta invest in yourself. You got to fire your doctor. You got to do all the things. Yeah.
Again, your husband and children deserve it. Do you want to be the woman who's creaking up the stairs? I live in a 3-story house. I'm up and down these stairs all day. And an orthopedic surgeon came over about a year ago and he said, smartest thing to do. He's 63. Smartest thing to do as a person in your 60s. I said, why? And he goes, because it will keep you nimble. Yep. The last thing you need to do is get that 1-story, 1-level house.
Right. Exactly.
He said, you need to push your body to go up and down stairs every day.
Yep.
Challenge your body. Okay.
Yep.
I'm not talking anymore.
Well, no, you have to talk a little more to tell people where they can find you and if they want to work with you and listen to your podcast and all the things.
So because I'm a longtime broadcaster, I did start podcasting in 2020. And I was on the radio here for so long that people would say, because I advertise for all the businesses, I'm the Oprah of Arkansas is what I say. I would advertise for these businesses and they'd say, well, why did you shop at Cecil's? Because Lisa Fischer said. So my podcast is Lisa Fischer said. Like, why did you do it? Because Lisa Fischer said. So that's like doctors heard about me so much, they would stop me on the street and go, you send another client. And they came because Lisa Fischer said. Because I'd say, advocate for yourself. So my podcast is Lisa Fischer Said podcast. I have one with my gay husband, my husband, and it's the Lisa and Larry show. And it is so fun. It's 30 minutes of frivolity. And we talk about what a gay man and a straight woman would talk about. It's so fun. Oh my
God. I have to listen to this.
It's so fun. I mean, it is so fun. I mean, he's so close to our family. We love him. But my website is lisafischersaid.com. My Instagram, Lisa Fischer Said. On X, I'm Lisa Fischer Said. because that's why. And that's how people reach out to me. Thyroid is obviously my passion. Fasting is a passion. And now hormones are my passion.
Yep.
Because I want women to feel better. I want happy husbands. I want happy wives. I want happy partners. I want happy moms and dads,
Yep.
you know, and if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
So true. So true. Oh, girl, love this so much. All right. We're going to have all your links in the show notes, of course.
Okay.
But I can't thank you enough for coming on. Yeah, of course, you'll be a repeat guest.
Because we went way over time. Sorry.
I'm looking at my I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. So, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Bye.